Good morning, guys. I got a budget banger here for y'all this morning. It is the Kubey Drake in G10 and D2. It's a flipper with a thumb hole, or a thumb, whatever shape you want to call that, with very lovely action. It reverse flicks, thumb flicks great. It's got a good stout detent, so it really rockets out of there. If you're a fidgeter, you'll love this knife. I'm not personally a fidgeter, so that doesn't really matter to me. As long as the action is decent, I'm happy. This knife's in G10 and D2. You can pick them up on White Mountain Knives when they're on sale for $27 shipped. Their normal price is $40, and they're a bargain at $40. So they're great at $27. This thing's blade geometry is great. You got a tall flat, you get a large flat section or flat ground section. It doesn't thicken up very quickly. This knife's on its fourth edge, and it's about 15 thousandths behind the edge. 'From the factory, they'll be at around 11 thousandths behind the edge. So they're nice and thin. They push cut great. This blade shape is made for utility cutting. They're cardboard destroyers. That's built well with really good fit and finish for the money. These knives they're literally, every one of them's perfect. They have got their manufacturing tolerances down pat, because every one of them, they're just perfect. How they do that for $40, I don't even know. And the G10 quality is good too. This is not that shitty G10 that come on a lot of budget knives. Another great thing about Civivi or Kubey is their D2 is the best D2 that comes out of China in budget knives, in my opinion. Both of them do it great, and whoever the company that does Kershaw's higher end China knives like the Iridium, they do really good D2 as well, but Kubey and Civivi do the best. I've never had a Kubey piece that was gummy on the stones, no gummy burrs. It's always hardened to a acceptable level where D2 should be. I've punched like 6 or 7 of them, and they are very consistently between 60 and 61. So, they could be run a little harder, but 60 to 61 is just fine. You get a lot of performance for very little money. You got good geometry, you got a good heat treat on a steel that can perform when it's done well. D2 is, I know a lot of people hate on it. There's really no reason for it. If the heat treat's good and it's ran not too soft, say 60 plus, you're going to get solid performance. You don't want no 57 HRC D2. Yeah, it's just too soft. But so long as you got it up, 60, 61 range. This blade right here, I believe, was 60.7. I'd have to look at my data log, but I'm pretty sure it's 60.7. And that thing's going to cut cardboard for a while before it needs to be touched up. Just finish your D2 fairly coarse, like somewhere in the 400 to 800 grit. With 800's a little fine. I really personally would stick between like a DMT 325 to a max of like 600. This knife right here is finished on a triple B super vitrified diamond 400. Absolutely perfect D2 finished stone. It's coarse. It cuts look crazy fast, and leaves a very coarse finish, but also not so coarse that you don't have good fine edge performance. This thing is sticky sharp, but yet tons of tooth. Just how I like my edges. And on D2, that's the type of edge you want to get the most performance out of it. And when D2 is done well and you do the right edge on it, it really will surprise you in just how long it'll hold an edge. Trying to show you the scratch pattern of that. .400 triple B stone. But you want a nice coarse finish, so you get that tooth structure to do the cutting, and D2 will hold that tooth structure quite well. A lot of people shit on D2. That's one of two reasons: either because they're steel snobbing, or because they got shitty soft D2. Now, if it's poorly done D2, just like any steel, it's going to perform poorly. If they got good D2, they shouldn't have no reason to bitch, and if they are, it's just because they're steel snobbing. Because this right here will give pretty much any China S35 VN knives a run for their money in edge retention. And if they'll say, oh, I love S35 VN, it's my favorite steel, because that's what they hear YouTubers say, and they just, sheep following the leader. They're still snobbing. It's that simple. D2, great steel. And the whole corrosion thing, I don't get it. I mean, yes, it will corrode, but not if you take care of it. I don't get it. I work in corrosive environments occasionally, and I have no problem with D2. And I don't know. Some people just say, oh, it rusts like crazy, but I've never seen it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but it don't. Now, if it's bead blasted and you don't take care of it, yeah, it will, but hell, stainless steels, bead blasted, will corrode. I just don't like that finish. But anyhow, this is a great knife. If you need a budget beater for, a great price, here you go. The Drake is top notch. Good geometry, great build, well done D2. $27 to $40 you can get it for. Great ergonomics. This thing just sets in the hand great. Now if you choke way up, that finger choil is not quite wide enough. You are close to that edge. I've never cut myself with it like that, but I could see it happening. I do have rather large hands. So if you don't have super thick fingers, you might do okay with it. Is that like a choil? Personally, mine's too thick to fit in there, so I'll just put my hand right behind the flipper, and that's a perfect push cutting grip for me. Anyways, check one out. I think you'll love it. And another thing I want to say is, I know there's a lot of misinformation out there about OD2 is it'll hold an edge forever, but it's gonna kick your ass sharpening it. Okay, don't listen to that shit. That's not true. If you have even a quality aluminum oxide stone, it will cut D2 just fine. D2 doesn't have the super hard carbides that aluminum oxide can't cut. The steel matrix is not ran hard enough that aluminum oxide can't cut it. So if you just have like a basic, say a $30 Shapton Kuramaku, it will cut this just fine. D2 is no harder to sharpen than any other steel. It's just, if it's good D2, it will come up crisp, it will deburr nicely, and there's no gumminess to it, and it doesn't have chipping issues. It's just, I don't understand why people talk so much shit about D2 being so hard to sharpen. It's not true. There's nothing true about that. If the D2 is done okay, if it's done decently or better, it will sharpen on the stones just fine. You won't have no problems with it, be it you have aluminum oxide, silicon carbide, CBN, diamond, doesn't matter. Any of it will cut it. And I suggest if you have a lot of D2, get you an Atoma 400, and you can reprofile on that stone, and it will finish D2 beautifully. That is literally the perfect edge finish for D2 to get the most performance out of it. It's coarse enough that you're going to have great tooth structure, and it will cut like hell, but you'll also have good fine edge performance. It will have that nice sticky sharp edge, but with a lot of tooth. So either like a DMT 325, that's another great D2 finish stone. You can you can do mild reprofiling on that stone, and you can finish D2 beautifully on it. Same thing goes for the Atoma 400. And those stones are going to cut it very quickly. Or if you have something like a 320 grit Kuramaku or a Shapton Glass 500, or a Shapton Glass 320, those are perfect grits for D2. You're going to have a very, very aggressive edge that has good enough it's not going to be hair whittling, but you're not going to be able to get it to whittle hair that coarse, but you'll have good fine edge with a lot of bite, and that's how knives cut the best. And if you put that type of edge on D2, 100% you will be surprised at how good it performs. Like, you do really get a lot of performance for your money from this stuff right here. So if you stay away from D2 because of what you've heard, don't listen to that shit. I promise. Well done D2 is a perfectly usable and enjoyable steel. It's just steel snobs talking shit. Don't listen to them. Alright guys, y'all have a good day.